Okay, guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel on April 30th, Wednesday. It's 8:41 in the morning here in Israel, and our weather is good. 71 now. Oh, we're going to hit 94 today. That's going to be weird. So we're going to be hot in the afternoon for a few hours. May have to throw air conditioning on. I doubt it. The house is cold. Then tomorrow, we drop down to 78 as a high, and then 76, and then 76, 74, 74. Then we go back up to 80. This is such unusual weather. It's definitely something. Never, many years here, I never saw anything like this. Never. It's just weird. So there's a lot of rumors flying around about that aircraft carrier that swerved, and an F16, some say an F18, depending who you listen to. From the swerving, the sharp turn of the aircraft carrier got thrown off the deck. Then they said the pilot is okay. What's wrong with this picture? An aircraft carrier is maybe 60 feet, the deck, or something like that, over the ocean. So if the pilot was getting thrown out of the plane, means he was in the plane. If the pilot's okay, then it would have read, oh, unmanned aircraft, right? Okay, so he falls the height of a 6-story building, roughly, right? Hits the water, the ship is moving, and he's okay, and there's no ejection. I mean, ejecting, I don't see that. They never said he ejected, so possibly he fell in the water. But they say the plane sank to the bottom of the Red Sea. So then what would have happened is he would have had to stay in the cockpit and wait for rescuers from the ship to deploy and get him. And that would take time, and I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. Unless there was some guys that, they have Navy swimmers, Navy divers on these boats that can do things like this. So maybe some guy just jumped off the ship, with his arms crossed and his head tucked in, swam over, but he would need tools to open the cockpit. This story is very, very suspicious. And the Houthis are saying they hit the aircraft carrier. So we'll get into that. The fighting in Pakistan and India is intensifying for the 6th day. It's worse. Modi turned he cut the military loose and told them, you do what you deem is necessary for our protection. No ceasefire negotiations, nothing going on. Many of the ports in America are down by 50% in traffic. And the Seattle port is allegedly empty. So that means they're going to start laying off port workers. There's less containers to unload. So what are they going to just pay them to sit around to lay them off? They might hang on for a few days before they lay them off, and then they'll lay them off. And then since there's less cargo arriving in these ports, they're going to need fewer truck drivers and so forth. How much of this drop in containers pertains to food remains to be seen. I don't think it's that much, but I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know if anybody knows. So the supermarket shelves being empty remains to be seen. I'm not so sure about that at all. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get into a lot of topics, and we're going to get into some Bible study again on Micah chapter 5, and that'll be interesting, and it's rather heavy duty when you get into it, and we'll talk about what happens in redemption to Israel, I guess, and the Exodus. So, also, a cargo plane landed in Beirut yesterday. A large Chinese military cargo plane. We never saw this before. Okay, I saw videos of it. It's there. The Chinese said they were bringing food to the UNFIL troops that are of Chinese origin. I mean, this would be enough. Where they got maybe 30, 50, 60. I mean, there's like very few of these soldiers there. So what they do, they brought them enough food to last them till 2028 or something. Come on, it doesn't make sense. And the Lebanese government let it happen. And it's probably missiles for the Hezbollah in Lebanon, and we've been destroying the missiles. So China is arming Egypt, and now the Houthis, and we're rather sure they've been arming Yemen. Now they're arming Hezbollah in Lebanon. They're arming the Houthis in Yemen. They're arming Iran. It's getting pretty heavy duty. Everything we pick up about the nuclear treaty talks is they're not going well at all. The opposite. Yet Trump keeps pumping his, optimism about this. And it sure looks like the world's going to blow up into war quickly, soon. Yep. Yep. Could it possibly all wind down all of a sudden? Anything's possible, but in the last few months, have you seen any ceasefires anywhere work? Russia, Ukraine, or anything? No. India, Pakistan, no, nothing's coming to pass. And Syria is blowing up. Okay. The Druze are going after the other groups in Syria that want to genocide them. And there's been fighting in many villages in the southern area of Syria, south of Lebanon, south of Damascus. And that's near where the area Israel is occupying as a buffer zone, so to speak. And Israel will help the Druze, and more Druze reinforcements from other parts of Syria are going over there to help the Druze. So this thing is falling apart. And honestly, I don't think HTS has enough infrastructure, capability, and so forth to really take care of this. I don't think they do. So what's going to happen in Syria? Who's going to run Syria? I don't know what's going to happen over there. We just know Damascus will be a ruinous heap. And this stuff is happening not in Damascus, but right outside of Damascus. So it's definitely serious contemplation, worthy of serious contemplation, for sure. Okay, I'm going to jump into the live stream, make sure we got a live stream, and sound and picture, and put some posts up, and we'll give people a few moments to come in, and some of you will leave because you get fed up with me with doing this. That's fine. I have no problem with that. We'll give people a few moments to. We got sound and picture. I have no idea who Oliver, whatever his name is, Holtz. I have no idea who that is. Sorry. LA has very weird weather. Yeah, it's many places in reality have weird weather. Yeah, it's pretty frequent now. The time chat. I don't time posts. If somebody becomes obnoxious, they just get blocked. Oh, India. Yeah, I'm trying to talk to a friend of mine in India. Last night in the evening, he was still working, and I couldn't talk to him because he was on a work call. But I'm going to try to talk to him today. He's a rather knowledgeable fellow. We don't um, do phone. We just do English here. I'm not going to block you. I'm just going to take your posts off because a lot of people that hate us come in here and put curses up in foreign languages, so we do that. But you're not blocked. I just took your posts down. I didn't translate them. Um, Now it's 8:53 in the morning in Israel. I have one mod here and I have others coming in. Okay, I had to throw some of the jerks out. Um, okay, I'm gonna do some praise and we'll get. Oh, I didn't get my post. Let me get my post. Hang on. That goes fast. Don't worry. You can put prayer requests up in the chat, or you could email them to me, and I'll give you my email address in a moment. Um, Going as quick as I can, guys. Now I'll get my... oh, okay, go to Glass. You got the problem fixed. Okay, I'm going to put up my email address for prayer requests, thoughts requests, questions, if you don't want to do it in the chat. Or you could use the chat. It's up to you. Okay, being a Bible-believing site, we're going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, so why did the aircraft carrier swerve in the area near Yemen? Because it had a drone headed towards it. That was the information we were able to pick up. So for some reason, the drone was able to get very uncomfortably close to the aircraft carrier. And the aircraft carrier was afraid of getting hit. So the captain swerved the ship to change path. When you want to evade something, you try to zigzag, you go boom, boom, you try to randomly go off your course. And the hope is that the drone can't correct quick enough to catch you. So for this thing to swerve abruptly like that, it was probably pretty critical with the drone. And there was a plane on the deck. There's reports of an F16 and F18. For purposes of this analysis, it doesn't really matter. And it got thrown off the deck into the water, and they said the pilot is okay, and that's hard to understand because the distance from the deck to the ocean is probably about 60 feet, max 80 feet maybe. That's enough to kill you, but it's water, it's not concrete. And he's in the plane. But he couldn't eject at that kind of a height. How much time could he have, So I guess he went down in the plane to the water. And there might have been a delay before the aircraft sank. And a rescue team got to him. Now, if they're deploying or capturing planes, in other words, they're taking off a landing, they would typically have a rescue boat or two following the aircraft carrier in the event that a pilot wound up in the drink. I think that would happen. So maybe they did get to him quickly. But the Houthis are saying that the plane was on fire, they hit it, and they have videos, but the videos could be doctored. So what do we make of this? Well, first thing we got to understand is they could both be true. The drone could have hit the airplane on the deck of the boat, and the impact of the explosion threw the plane off the side of the boat. Then they recovered the pilot, and the plane eventually sank. That could be the explanation. The next best explanation would be the one we're hearing, where the aircraft carrier veered sharply and quickly, and it flung the airplane off the boat. But that just doesn't happen. I never heard of that happening before. So I'm not so sure of that. I think the plane was probably hit on the deck by the drone. That's what I'm thinking happened. That's the most logical explanation. Okay, so the pilot would have been in the plane, getting ready to go take off, and then this all happened. A combination of the two, the aircraft carrier veering and the drone hitting the plane or near the plane, throwing it off, is what I think really happened. And the Americans are not about to tell you that. Trump's running around saying, no, now we're up to 1,000 strikes on the Houthis. They haven't shut them down yet. I don't believe we got a missile yesterday from the Houthis or a drone, so maybe it is starting to get shut down. That's how it begins. Instead of being able to fire missiles and drones at us every day, they start missing days. Then they start missing several days in a row. Then they start missing a week, So, sooner or later, the Americans are going to deteriorate their ability to launch at American warships and Israel. And they've done 1,000 missions. Yesterday, the UK joined America for some big hits in Yemen. What the heck this Chinese cargo plane's doing in Beirut is very, very unusual. We never saw this before. A military large cargo plane bringing food to UNFIL troops. Let's see how many UNFIL troops there are in Lebanon now. I think we could probably get that. Let's take a look. Well, I might be wrong here. There were 10,000 UNFIL troops in Lebanon, peacekeepers, that do absolutely nothing. But I'm getting a breakdown of what countries they're from here. Let me open it. This article doesn't have a date. Oh, it does. As of December 2024. Okay, that's very current. There were 10,000 peacekeepers. Now we have a breakdown. Let's see how many are from China. 419 soldiers from China. Okay. So I don't believe a military cargo plane, like a C-17 looking thing, a great big one, would be bringing food into Lebanon. These soldiers have been there since previous to December, and we never heard of that. The UN feeds them. This is absurd. That's not what happened. There wasn't food. So why were they lying? Well, because they brought weapons in, and the Lebanese government is looking the other way. So that means we've got a bigger problem with the Lebanese government. Now, what's Israel going to do? Bomb China? No. They'll just find out what was in the cargo plane, where it is, which we're capable of doing, and then we'll do an attack by air, drone, missile, aircraft, and blow the weapons up. And what's China going to do? Bomb Israel? No. Bring more weapons. Well, they're not going to do that. Why? Because Israel's going to tell the Lebanese government, if another plane lands in the Beirut airport or any other airport, we're going to destroy the airport. That's what's going to happen. That means China will disguise the weapons they're sending over there by using more commercial aircraft not owned by China or traced to China, and they'll just bring it in that way. But then the Lebanese government is taking a chance, because if Israel figures out they let this plane in, they'll blow the airport up. And this is a weird thing, because China is getting involved big time in the Middle East. Why? Well, the Houthis are a proxy of Iran, which they have defense treaties with, defense agreements, as is the Hezbollah in Lebanon. So they're trying to help out. Normally, I would say this doesn't look like it's going to get anywhere, but since we're in end times, you never know. This could blow up. I don't see much problem with this blowing up either. So let's see how this happens, how this develops. It's like unanimous with everybody. Smelling something burning. Hold on a second. No, I don't think it was it. Everybody's saying India and Pakistan are just going to go into it. Now Pakistan has a very substantial military. India has a huge military. So India is mobilizing their military, which takes several days. America's been mobilizing in the Middle East to attack Iran for months now. So it's going to take time. Not much more. I would say by the end of the week, anyway. The third aircraft carrier, I believe it's the Nimitz, is in the Indian Ocean, not close enough yet to be by the Sea of Oman and near the Persian Gulf. So today is what is it, Tuesday? Wednesday. So I would say by Friday, probably it'll be in theater. Now there's a fourth one coming, and I would think it'll be here in a few days, maybe the first week of the month or something. First week of May, something like that. They might send the Harry Truman home, but I heard they continued their deployment, so I don't think they're going to do that. So Trump might be waiting for 4 aircraft carriers to be in the Middle East. That's a lot. They potentially can contain combined 360 aircraft. Usually it's less. It's probably going to be 340 or something between all of them. And we spotted not a secret spotting, I mean, the thing's, tied up at a pier, a nuclear submarine from America that can fire 154 Tomahawk missiles, not at the same time. Usually the missile tubes are about 16 in total. But this guy's got some pretty deadly firepower. So is Trump waiting for number 4 aircraft carrier, or would he feel comfortable on number 3? No, we're headed for the 4th meeting between Iran and America, and I believe it's on Saturday in Rome again. So what's it going to look like with India and Pakistan? Well, Pakistan is saying India is going to invade them. Not so quick. They're not going to start with an invasion. They got a wall of tanks and artillery on the border there. It's near Kashmir, which is near where the dams are. And these are the dams that India closed, and they're rerouting the rivers so Pakistan doesn't have any water. Well, it's 70% of their water. So sure, if Pakistan throws 70% of their population out of Pakistan, they'll be fine, right? But that's not likely to occur. So Pakistan doesn't have a choice but to go to war. They went to the UN, but nothing seemed to occur. I saw a video yesterday of an airport in India, a real big airport, a civilian airport. And they had laid the flags down of Pakistan and Bangladesh and Palestine, the Palestinian flag, which is what they use in Gaza. And they were walking on it as we wipe your feet on you type of a slogan, okay? And that was the enemy of Israel, Pakistan, they're wiping their feet on. So, see, they are close to Israel. And Israel did send several cargo planes over there. And Trump did send one B-52 bomber to India 2 or 3 days ago, which is really more of tokenism. But that plane can create havoc in Pakistan. I highly doubt Pakistan has any capability to take down American jets. Now, a B-52 doesn't fly by itself. So there would be stealth jets flying with it, most likely F-35s off the carriers. There would probably be an AWAC in the area. So they have a long-range radar and they can reach out as to how far away threats are. They're not going to just send a B-52 out by itself because it could be taken down. It's got no stealth capability. It's not supersonic. It is just too vulnerable. And they're very expensive. They got 8 engines. And America doesn't really build them anymore. They just refurbish the existing ones they have. This plane was used a lot in Vietnam and the Iraq War and stuff like that. It carries a very large payload. It can carry something like 84, I believe, 500-pound bombs. It's just an incredibly dangerous thing. It's kind of like the modern version of the Flying Fortress, it's a B-29, I think, in World War II, which was a propeller plane. It had a much less payload, but at the time it was pretty devastating. Some of you might not know this, but the Allies during World War II would organize raids in Europe and in the Pacific too. But I know sometimes they did raids where they collected 1,000 planes. They came from different bases and they rendezvoused and they filled the sky and they had different routes and they would come in and bomb countries they were going after or armies. And the World War II thing was they accepted a lot of loss. Pilots in World War II would fly 25 missions. That's how dangerous it was. And then they would transfer them away from the fighting, go home to America, train pilots, explain to them what it's like to be in combat. A lot of the planes were taken down, yes, by fighter planes, which were propeller, except at the very end of the war. They had some jets, Germany did, but they were maybe 50, 60 miles an hour faster than the supercharged propeller planes. But that's meaningful enough, or they just put them somewhere where there's no combat. And I knew a guy that was not a pilot, but he flew on these bombers during World War II, and he told me that they used to give him a tankard of rum before they took off because they were so scared. That was probably an 8-ounce mug or something like that. So they would get pretty looped when they took off, The problem was not just the fighter jets. When they were approaching a target, the fighter jets came after them, and then they would shoot flak at them. Flak is a proximity explosive. Like that's what the Iron Dome does. It gets close to the projectile it's trying to take down, the missile, the drone, the aircraft, the helicopter, whatever it is, and it blows up, and shrapnel goes flying all over the place. So it hits the incoming projectile, generally a drone or a missile. It damages it, it falls down, it goes off its trajectory, all of the above usually. And that's the end of that. The downside is shrapnel falls down on whoever happens to be underneath it. So that's why we got bomb shelters. To protect yourself from shrapnel, you just need to be inside an Israeli house, which is going to have cement walls and cement roof with hard tiles and, that type of thing. So the flak would come up and it could reach 25,000 feet and it would blow up and they would pepper the sky with this flak all over the place, you know? And they took planes down. It was a lot of times it was brutal. They didn't have armored glass on the windshield, and flak would fly through the windshield, hit the pilot and the co-pilot. It would hit the wings. It would hit everything. I mean, it was bad. Planes would go down. Their wings would fall off, and they would just go right down. You know, brutal. But that's how they wage war. They sent, 1,000 plane raid was pretty rare. But a raid with, 80 or 100 planes was rather common. And, they know they would lose 20, 30, 40%. They were aware of that. And the pilots, were scared, so they gave him some rum. That's how he was doing it. Crazy, huh? Now, if they got shot down over non-enemy territory, which would be allies of allied with the allies, not the Axis, they would parachute out of the plane if they could get out in time, and they'd land in safe territory, and the military or the government or the people would rescue them, take care of them. And the idea was to get them to turn them over to the military, and the military would do all they could to transfer them back to the Americans so they could continue fighting the war. But if they got caught over, let's say, Germany, oh, it was bad. The German people would try to hunt them down with pitchforks and, capture them, turn them over to the SS and stuff like that. It wasn't pretty. Yeah. There's perhaps as many as 10 F-35s now at Diego Garcia, and a couple of weeks ago I was reading there's 12 B-52s, and there's a large amount, probably 20 refueling bombers, at least 20 refueling planes. And the aircraft carriers have F-35s, they got F-18s, F-16s, I don't know about F-15s, maybe them. They got all kinds of stuff. The A-10 Warthog, by the way, I'm being told now, uses a 30 millimeter gun, not a 20 millimeter. Now, the 30 millimeter is, you could call it an artillery piece pretty easily. So what is Trump waiting for? Well, one thing he's doing is he's taking the troops out of Syria from those bases America has in Syria at an accelerated pace. So I think he's going to leave skeleton crews at the base in Syria, and hopefully they have some sort of fortification they could go to. That's to mitigate the damage from Iran, the blowback when they get hit. Okay. Iran just said that if Israel attacks us, we're going to hit the American bases. Well, they'll also hit the oil refineries of different countries in the Middle East. They'll try to go after Diego Garcia. But what a lot of people are not talking about, and that's because they don't understand the Iranian mentality and how they're criminally insane psychotics, that belong in a mental hospital for the criminally insane, when they realize that it's coming down, they're going to take a poke at preemptive strikes. It could be Diego Garcia. It could be American military bases in the area. It could be oil refineries of other countries in the Middle East. It could be a lot of things, but they'll definitely deliver. So the world's going to get into this fight. China will get in, North Korea, Russia, America, Israel. Iran just signed some sort of a deal. They're not talking about it with Azerbaijan, which is sort of an ally of Israel. This is kind of weird. But that happened about a day ago. But they're not talking about what it was. So it might have been a trade deal. But we don't know. Could have been a mutual defense deal or something. I don't know what it was. They're not talking. So what the word is any time now, there's going to be an attack by India on Pakistan, which will be retaliated against. It will probably be air attack or surface-to-surface missile attacks, and then they'll try to push the Pakistanis in from the border to establish a safety zone, which would mean a secure place. And they're going to start knocking each other's lights out. The Pakistanis' need for relief to take back that Kashmir area with the dams and turn the water on and try to hold it. The chances of them being successful at this is slim and none. But if they don't, they're going to die. The country's going to fall off a cliff. So they got to take a move. So they're trying to strategically figure out what they can do and get away with. And I don't think it's very much. And if they pull a heist like this, it's going to go. This is what all the signs are. It's going to just light up, guys. And China is already getting active in the Middle East. And China says they'll help Russia if NATO attacks. It's going. I mean, Macron in France tells Iran if they don't make a nuclear deal with Trump, that he's going to reimpose sanctions on them. Now, Trump with the economy, a lot of people are getting everybody scared. Don't get so scared so soon with this, okay? When foreign goods cannot come in and sell successfully in the United States because of tariffs, goods made in America, as well as goods made from other countries like screwdrivers and pliers from, say, India or someplace else, they'll come in and take up the slack cheaply. Well, Okie dokie, let's take a look at the live stream and see what's going on. Trump, someone's saying Trump is the least of the problem. The problem with Trump is he's getting aggressive with the military, the Houthis in Yemen and Iran, at the same time as the sanctions. And that's, in my book, too much at the same time. A deal with Iran, it's very unlikely. Iran is trying to buy time and shine them on. And I think Trump is trying to buy time. I'm pretty sure he wants at least aircraft carrier number 3 here, which will be any day now, and probably aircraft carrier number 4 as well. Would they use B-52s on Iran? Absolutely. But before they do, they'll take out their radar systems and their anti-aircraft systems. But taking out their anti-aircraft systems is a nightmare because they have a large amount of missiles on mobile launchers. So imagine a Peterbilt cab, with a lowboy trailer, which has 1 or 2 missile launchers on it that shoots anti-aircraft missile. And it has short-range radar attached on this platform also that runs off a generator powered by the truck engine. Iran keeps these things driving around, so how the heck are you going to hit them? You can't get a missile lock or a GPS coordinate on the thing. Just trying to get a lock on a moving vehicle. So these things are deployed all over the place in Iran, wherever they think there's a sensitive target. Aircraft of any sort come in, they hit it with the radar, and then they launch missiles at them. Now, can they hit F-35s and F-22s and B-1s and B-2s? I seriously doubt it. Could they hit a non-stealth jet, F-16, F-15, F-18, B-52? Helicopters? Absolutely. Could they blow a B-52 out of the sky? Not easily, but they probably can. The B-52 is going to have, decoys and countermeasures and, jamming electronic. It's dangerous. This is one of the very many challenges facing the Americans for bombing Iran. It's not so simple. They might have 100 of these mobile missile launches. It wouldn't shock me. They got 1,500 go-fast boats, so the warships are in jeopardy. That's why they're staying far away from Iran. These go-fast boats can shoot anti-ship missiles. They got guns of all different sizes, 50 caliber, 20 millimeter, even 30 millimeter. They can carry shoulder-fired anti-tank, anti-ship missiles, and just hold the soldiers in the boat could just stand and hold them and fire them. It's a shoulder-fired weapon. They can throw drones off the boat. All kinds of stuff. Some of these boats can shoot torpedoes. Typically, they run about 60 feet. So you can't put that much fuel on the sucker. And they're fast. They go, I would say, the slower ones are going 50 or so miles an hour. Some of them may go 70. And they have different sizes, too. And they're not going to go all the way out to the Indian Ocean because they're not going to have the fuel. So they're going to stay by the Straits of Hormuz near Iran in the Red Sea. And if any ship or anything gets close, they'll try to take it out. Can they detect and combat a submarine? No. No. If a submarine goes after them and they're cognizant of it, which they may not be because the submarine will launch anti-ship missiles at them from below the surface. So any ordinary radar works over the surface, not in the water. So what'll happen is these submarines could launch weapons and they would be undetected. But the go-fast boats are hard to hit. They can zig and zag at high speed without causing problems for themselves. And, it's not such an easy target, okay? That's why I think they brought the A-10 Warthogs into the Middle East. They probably have at least 30 or 40 of them. Those things are not stealth and they're not supersonic, so they don't even hit 500 miles an hour. But they have these very powerful guns, 30 millimeter. They also, I'm sure, have 20 millimeter in some of them. And these shells can shred a boat like a go fast. Just one burst, break the boat, devastate. So they just get a lock on the boat while they're flying, and they put probably 5 to 10 rounds in the boat, and that's all she wrote. If they got a hit on the boat, if they don't get a hit, the bullets will be hitting the water and splashing, and they'll watch the pattern and try to compensate. So we're watching and waiting. If India and Pakistan start knocking each other's lights out, is that going to drive oil up? Yes, but not a lot. Oil per barrel now is in the 60s. It may go up to 70 or even 80, but that by itself isn't going to spike it. Okay? It's going to take more than that. If Iran gets hit, that'll start spiking oil. Now, if Iran takes out the refineries in the Middle East, that'd really okay. The Haredi, the black cults, the ultra-Orthodox are protesting again. They're very upset about the Supreme Court of Israel asking Netanyahu to show cause, basically why he's not yet drafted these people. The Attorney General actually was the one, I believe. And Netanyahu's just apparently ignoring her and doesn't want to draft the Haredi because if he does, they're going to break the coalition with him. And he's got a lot of big problems. And the ICC is saying they're going to issue new arrest warrants against Israeli public officials. But they said these new arrest warrants are going to be sealed so that people do not know whether or not they're on the list. Well, I think it'll be very quick and easy for Israel to find out who is on the list because they got to post these arrest warrants in other countries. In other words, you pick a country, Spain, Portugal, Italy, any country that's in this treaty. When you go land in their airport, you give them your passport, they look at it and then they swipe it. And what do they see? Well, they could see the picture on their computer screen, and it should match the passport picture and the name and all that stuff to see if somebody took a real passport and doctored who it belongs to. Now, I don't know much about passport counterfeiting, but there's probably a lot of ways to do it. Let me tell you what they do not do. You land in France and you have a passport from Chile. they don't, while you're standing there for a few seconds, they don't contact Chile and say, we just received this passport. Can you validate it? That doesn't happen unless there's an unusual circumstance and they call the person into what they call secondary in a back room, and they might want to look through the luggage, look at their smartphone, their computers, search them. And if they're really worried about something, they might contact another country and ask them if this is real. And that might take 24 hours to get a response. So don't believe that's what happens when you show up. That's why phony passports can work. Now, let's go to another level. How do they do the arrest warrants for the ICC? Well, when every day, usually, or it might be every week, it depends, usually daily, they get an update from, Interpol, let's say, right? And it has all the different red alerts and warrants out there for different people. They update it every day. And the immigration computers at the airports and the ports and the land crossings update every day. And if somebody comes in and they scan a passport, their computer system would check it against red alerts. In other words, people that are supposed to be detained. So if they got a hit, then the guy or the gal that swipes your passport would hit a button and a couple of armed guys would come over and take this person into custody and try to sort it out, like what happened. And that's how they do it. So to put an ICC arrest warrant out, it has to be in all the computers in the member countries around the world. So how hard would it be for the Mossad to access that? Yeah, child's play. So they'll know what happened. And this is a problem. They don't do this to other countries, they just do it to Israel. So I don't know the resolution for this problem yet with these arrest warrants because they're going to try to stop a lot of people from traveling. I am expecting them to go after the Minister of Defense, Katz, Ben-Gvir, the security minister, and Bezalel Smotrich, who's the economic minister, and all right. So it's a mess. It's a mess. And this Ben Gvir's in the United States now, but the United States is not in the ICC's treaty. So I don't believe they're going to do anything to Ben Gvir. He may be coming home. I don't know. You see, the problem is the ICC only has jurisdiction over people, over countries that signed a treaty with them. Israel never signed a treaty with them. The United States never signed a treaty with them. And they're exerting their authority over Israel. Now, they issued 2 arrest warrants a few months ago against Netanyahu and Gallant, the former defense minister and an ex-general. And the Israeli government appealed. There's an ICC or an ICJ, I think it was, one of those 2 courts issued it, and there's an appellate process, and they went to the appellate court, and the appellate court returned the case back to the lower court that issued the arrest warrants, stating that you have to go back and prove that you have jurisdiction over Israel, who's not signed the treaty. So their response to it is now to issue more arrest warrants. It's Just anti-Semitism, that's all it is. They're screaming starvation in Gaza again. There's restaurants selling food. There's food markets there. They just lie and lie and lie and say anything. And it's just so stupid. We've got videos of restaurants operating there currently. It's so dumb. Prayer requests. First one for CE. CE, Charlie Echo. CE, Charlie Echo. Healing for the ankle. For CE, prayer for healing of the ankle. AZ, Alpha Zebra. AZ, Alpha Zebra. Healing from cancer. And pray that AZ gets money owed by the government to AZ. So healing from cancer for AZ, and pray that AZ quickly receives money owed to AZ by the federal government in America. And also pray for leading on making Aliyah to Israel for AZ. Leading on, the Lord would lead him regarding making Aliyah to Israel. Beulah, we don't do house barks. I think I stopped Beulah jumping. I found a new approach to it. I tested it this morning. It worked. So we'll see. Keep praying that Beulah doesn't get out again. Beulah Udini. What's her breed? A Udini breed. Udini was a great escape artist in America in the 20s and 30s. He died when one of his escapes went bad. He was a Jewish guy. He was very, very popular in the 20s, 30s in America. He really was. Prayer for PC, Papa Charlie. For PC, Papa Charlie. PC is going to have a medical procedure today. The prayer is that it goes well. There would be no pain or complications, and they don't discover anything bad. Beulah, no house howling. I got a hound dog. What did Elvis say about you? You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Beulah, no. Jerk. So for PC, Papa Charlie, pray for a medical procedure today to go well without complications, no pain, and they don't discover anything bad. Okay, those are the prayer requests. They're very important. That's a big part of what we do. And again, I say to you, if you're thinking about having a prayer request put in and you don't do it, it's probably pride. Don't be silly. It's here. It's free. People are glad to do it. You could have hundreds of people, many dozens pray for you. What's wrong? You don't want to use it? Why? So in Iran, there was another explosion. Now, I think it was two. Now, I'm getting mixed signals, but let me explain. At least one, separate from the port, nothing to do with the port. The first report I heard was it was a private company in Iran that manufactures drones for the Iranian government. That's like, a private company. They say, hey, we need 500 drones this week or something, right? That's no big deal, right? Okay. And then later on, I heard reports that it was an ammunition factory. Now, what I think happened, it was just two factories that got hit. Were they hit by Israeli stealth aircraft? I'm not thinking that. Were they hit by an underground resistance movement? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. because they're not announcing, we saw, Israeli jets or Israeli missiles or something, we're not getting any of that kind of report. And I have a feeling that we would if it was real. I think it's sabotage at this point. So the Israeli agents are recruiting people to do this, or they're doing it themselves. And that's what I'm thinking is going on here. And it ain't going to stop. This is really well seated. It's secure operation over there, and it's going to keep getting worse for the Iranians. Oh, well. Then they should stop behaving like lunatic Iranians, shouldn't they? The 5-year ceasefire business with Hamas, Netanyahu came out publicly and said, we didn't make any ceasefire deal with them. The rumors are false. There's no ceasefire deal with them. Putin put in a 3-day ceasefire with Ukraine. It'll be up in a couple of days. Tonight, I believe we're off our Independence Day holiday. In other words, the Israeli equivalent of the 4th of July. It would be over at sundown today. The country basically is shutting down till Sunday. So yesterday in the evening was holiday. So a lot of people wouldn't go to work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They make a big holiday out of it, like a 4-day 4th of July. So if the 4th of July is on a Tuesday, not that many people are going to go to work on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, right? They'll take a 4-day vacation. So it's like that. So it's annoying. A lot of stores are open. It's not a religious holiday. They don't shut any businesses or stores down for this. Just a lot of people don't work. So, you are going to, there's some, like, a lot of stuff's not working, but some stuff is, like the restaurants and food markets, to some extent, are open. They're not completely functioning. It's just going to depend on the business, and some people stay open, some people don't. It's got a great deal of variance about it, So it's hit or miss who's open, but the traffic is pretty low. I'm trying to find out what went wrong again with my connection here, but I got so many of these. I gotta stand up and see if I can find my problem, why I lost my charge. This is a pretty common problem I got, unfortunately. Circle around here. Give me a second. I gotta track the cord. Here we are. What is the problem? Oh, it was loose, I think. Still loose. Not working out. I have to switch chargers here. And see how that works. Where's this connecting to? Oh, I see the problem. Okay. Now, let's see if I can make this function. think I'm using a Samsung charger on an Apple. It doesn't like it. This doesn't work either. Hang on a second, guys. I'll be right back. I think I found a way to jerry-rig this. If I can't get it, I have enough charge anyway. Let me give it one last shot. Let's see if we get anywhere. Really confused why it's not working. I can't tell what's wrong, if we got a bad connecting cable to the wall or what. That didn't work. Try the original one. I might have to just give up and work on it later. I don't know. It's an electrical plug problem, I think. No, there's something wrong. I got to work on this later. Sorry about that. It's not the chargers, it's the cable. I got to change it. All right. So here we are, ready to go watch the world go crazy. And you know, the odd thing about it is there's so many people that believe that now. You know, it's not that there's a small group of people that understand it. There's a lot of people that know it. Israel is expanding the military operation in Gaza because they're not giving the hostages back, apparently. And they called up more reservists. So that's going to be serious. The Druze are killing and taking prisoners of the other Muslims that are going after them. So Syria is really going up, you know, heating up. There's a lot of clashes between the Druze and the Syrian army now. 14 deaths were reported early this morning, just for today. So it's really bad over there. Pakistan diplomats have sent the diplomats from other countries in Pakistan sent their families home because of the war. That's serious. Modi gave his military in India basically a carte blanche to wage the war on Pakistan as they see fit. So it's coming. Pakistan fears an invasion. Probably that'll happen. They're going to push them off the border there. See, what Pakistan wants to do is invade and take the Kashmir area over and turn the water back on. Well, India's not about to let them do that. So, Trump accelerating the removal of the American soldiers in Syria in conjunction with more aircraft carriers coming over here, it's starting to look like Trump's waiting for more aircraft carriers. Bear in mind, they got 2 aircraft carriers and they still haven't really completely disabled the Houthis. So this thing could take many months. Or not. I don't know how heavy duty, Trump is going to go on Iran. Let's see if we have any questions. Where am I currently in? I'm in Israel in the Galilee. You maybe heard of the Galilee, near the Sea of Galilee. I lived here many, many years. Yeah, I'm a Jew, Levi, and a Cohen. Let's do Micah 5 again today. And I want to dwell on this a little bit more carefully. It rattled me yesterday. Well, let's do Micah 5. Verse 1. Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. He has laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod. Upon the cheek. Now, is he speaking of Elijah and Apostle John here? It could be. Is it throwing back to the past? Oh, daughter of troops doesn't sound like the past because it was the Romans that did it in the 70 AD thing, okay? And the fact that it's, well, let's keep going. But thou, Bethlehem, Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth have been from old, from everlasting. So now I get the distinct impression he's talking about Yeshua as smiting on the cheek, because they did stuff like that to him. Okay? Now we're in verse 3. Therefore will he give them up until the time that she which travaileth had brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel. Now, this is the appearing of Yeshua in the clouds. Sorry, this idiot thing decided to give me another pop-up and block the live stream. Okay, so the appearing of the Son of Man in the clouds happens before the next great Exodus. Okay? And it says regarding the Exodus, you will not go out with haste or flight. You're going to go out pretty leisurely. And you'll go out with wealth and riches too, like they did from Egypt. So, and if you're in Yeshua for real, you're going to be part of Israel. All Israel shall be saved. Go find me a scripture that says all the 3,500 denominational churches will be saved. I'd really like to hear that. Because it's not in the scripture. So that's what he's saying. And that's the travail, the actual giving birth. The birth pangs we're in now. The giving birth is rather rapidly. And he shall stand and feed in the strength of Jehovah, in the majesty of the name of Jehovah Elohim. And they shall abide, for now shall he be great unto the ends of the earth. This is Yeshua. And this man shall be the peace when the Assyrian shall come into our land, and when he shall tread in our palaces. That's not temples, that's like mansions and stuff. Then shall we raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 principal men. Now, first step in this is to figure out what we're talking about here, is to go look up biblical Assyria countries today, okay? And I'll do that. Not Syria, Assyria. And this is, today they would have the following names. All right? Hold on to your hat. Fasten seatbelts. Brace yourself for impact. Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Iraq, and Iran. Oh. Does that ring any bells? Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Iraq, and Iran. That's your axis of evil, pretty much. Now, Yemen is not in there because they're really called Edom in the Bible, and they're distantly away. Okay? So, this is Zechariah 12, obviously. The siege around Israel. Now, it's already in play. Not to the fullest, perhaps, but it's already in play. Let's go back. Micah 5. That's the daughter of troops. So I'm back in Micah 5:5. And this man, now the word man is not in the text, shall be the peace. So it's saying, let's break the Hebrew down. It's saying, and this. It doesn't say and, it says zay, which means this. Like you hold something up, you say maze, what's this? Zay means this. So it's saying this shall be, let's get that right. Haya come to pass. So this come to pass. And then it says shalom, peace, when leave it go. The Assyrian shall come. Let's see, does that say boat? Yeah, so Assyrian come. Haaretz, the land, or meaning the land of Israel. And when, let's check that out. Yeah, when, we'll give him when. He shall tread. Yeah, march, tread. Tread in our palaces, then shall we raise. Let's check that out. Doesn't sound like they got that right. Rise or stand up against, upon better, but against, it says against. So we shall rise or stand up against. The word him's not there. Or is it? No, it's not there. It says Sheva, 7 shepherds, and 8, Shmona is 8 principal men. Let's watch this. It could mean anointed too, principal, anointed. And then it says Adam for men. Okay. And they shall waste the land of Assyria with the sword. And those are those countries we talked about, and that's in play now. We've been attacking Syria. We still are a little bit. We've been attacking Lebanon, and we are pretty much daily, and we're attacking Hamas. We're not attacking Iraq right now. We're not attacking Iran right now. With the sword, and the land of Nimrod, that's Iraq, in the entrances thereof. Thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian when he cometh into our land. They're really in our land now. They're living there. But maybe it means they're going to invade us. We'll see. And when he treadeth within our borders, yeah, so they will come in. But they already did that. Remember October 7th? And in the past, they've done this too, but it could be a future event yet. Let's keep reading. And the remnant of Yaakov shall be in the midst of many people as a dew from Jehovah, as the showers upon the grass that tarrieth, not for man, that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men. And these are the Israelites and the true believers that received everlasting life when Yeshua appeared, as per John 6:40. John 6:40, 1 John 3, verse 2, Revelation 1:7, Zechariah 12, verse 10. or 9 and 10 in Zechariah. And the remnant of Yaakov shall be among the heathen in the midst of many people. That's the case now. So he's in the midst of many people and behaves as a lion among the beasts of the forest. They can't defend against the lion. As a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who, if he go through, both treadeth down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver. Nobody's going to stop the lion from ripping through the sheep. Thy hand shall be lifted up upon thy adversaries. Speaking to Israel. And all thy enemies shall be cut off. So it looks like these countries are going to get cut off after redemption, doesn't it? Or at redemption, maybe. The ones laying siege to us get burned up by Elijah and Apostle John. In Zechariah 12:6, it's rather clear. But the countries are not destroyed. They're going to be destroyed on our borders, surrounding us in the siege. If they're 200 miles into the country, they're not in the siege or anything, you know. As I see it, maybe I'm wrong, but thy hand shall be lifted up upon thy adversaries, and all thy enemies shall be cut off. So maybe we don't have such a big weight anymore. And it shall come to pass in that day, that's the Zechariah 12 day, probably the day of vengeance, saith Jehovah, that I will cut off. And they tell us here, it says, thy horses. Let's take a look at what it really says. It says sus. It doesn't put any thy in it. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Jehovah, cut off horses out of the midst of thee. Well, that could be the enemy's horses. Let's check this out a little deeper. It says midst. What it's really saying is cut the sus, the horses, from midst. Okay, then they say, of thee and I will destroy. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 words for one word in Hebrew. See how they play with it? Abad, perish or vanish. So cut off horses midst. And then for destroy, it's perish or vanish. And then it says thy chariots, when it really doesn't say that. It's just saying chariots. Chariots are probably war vehicles today. So they add the words in thy to make it look like he's destroying Israel's horses and weapons, where it's the enemy's horses and weapons inside Israel. You see how they screw with it to build up Schofield and Darby? It's sick. Micah 5:11, and I will cut off the cities of thy land. Okay, let's see if they're playing here, because this got me real upset yesterday. And I will cut off 5 words in English for one word, karat, cut off. Okay? So it's cut off, and then it says a year. Huh? What are they doing? So it seems to say cut off, and then it says, what a translation. Yeah, let's give them the benefit and go cities. So it's cut off cities, Haaretz in the land. It doesn't say of thy land, it says Haaretz, the land. And that could also mean the earth. Cut off cities of the earth or the land and throw down. Okay, let's check that. Throw down. Yeah, give them tear down, throw down. All, that should be call. Yep. And then again, it says thy strongholds. There's no word for thy. It just says fortifications, forts. He's talking to the nations. He's not talking about Israel. See, that's what got me messed up yesterday. This translation is purposely twisted. And I will cut off witchcrafts out of thy hand, and thou shalt have no soothsayers. Now it looks like he's talking to Israel. Let's keep reading. But maybe he's not. Let's check it out real carefully. This is verse 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words for karat. Cut off witchcrafts from hand, yad. Okay. Cut off witchcrafts from yad, or from hand, and thou shalt have shall come. What the heck did they do here? What translation weaknesses I have. It says, have no soothsayers. Thy graven images also will I cut. You see, he could be talking to the enemies of Israel here. Okay? That's who I think he is. So he's telling them, your graven images. Well, we read about him destroying the graven images and mocking them in the daughter of Babylon and stuff like that. So I'm not so quick to think this is Israel. Will I cut off, and thy standing images out of the midst of thee, and thou shalt no more worship the work of thy hands. See, it sounds like it's talking to Israel, doesn't it? But it may not be. And I will pluck thy groves out of the midst of thee, so will I destroy thy cities. See, I was thinking he's going to destroy Israel's cities, but it makes no sense. He's going to destroy all the nations in Jeremiah 30:11, Jeremiah 46:28. All the nations he scattered the Israelites into are going to be destroyed. And I think that's what this is talking about. So it's saying, pluck up grooves out of the midst. So will I destroy thy cities. Cities is okay, and destroy is Shema, destroy. It doesn't say thy cities, it says cities. And when it says pluck up thy groves, it doesn't say thy. And I will execute vengeance in anger and fury upon the Goyim, the heathen, such as they have not heard. See, it's not destroying Israel. So I can't really find these destroying Israel. So I had a really rough time yesterday. I was thinking, why he's going to destroy Haifa, Tel Aviv, and all this. You know, I mean, it makes no sense. And how did I get there? I got there from a rotten English translation. They're all rotten. Every English translation is full of errors. It's unbelievable. So all I'm really picking up here is like Jeremiah 30:11. You know, similar thing. It gives us more detail about what he's going to do. Breaking the forts, destroying the forts. That's, see, at redemption, when Yeshua appears in the cloud, that's when they beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. That's when that happens. Now, of course, the church doesn't teach that. You know. All right, let me see if we have any questions in the chat. I don't know if the electric fence with the dog would work. I think the dog would just plow through it or something, unless I had it turned up and electrocuted the dog, and I wouldn't do that. So, no, I'm not a vet. No. No, I'm not going to respond. What's the biggest lesson I've learned in my life? That's not what I'm here to talk about. I've got an agenda. If I deviate every time somebody comes in and tells me to deviate, the live stream falls apart. Is that what you want? Get back on my notes here. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 11. This was a question that somebody brought up, and, you know, I thought maybe we'd share it with everybody. It's not prophecy, really. Be you followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now, I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinance as I delivered unto you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Now, this speaks self-evident for itself, although many people reject it. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. All right. Now, head covered. Okay, let's get back into this. Every man praying or prophesying having the head covered. Okay, let's check the words. Come on, stop it. I want to see what Strong's does with this word. Okay, this word has a connotation of down. It's not. Let's say it just turns around. Is this is sort of like a kippah? No, I don't wear that. This is sort of like a yarmulke or a kippah. That doesn't really meet the test of this word. What it's talking about is they take their prayer shawl called a talit or a talis in Yiddish, and they wrap it around their head so it looks like this using the hoodie. And then they pull it down like this to pray in secret or whatever they're doing in secret. And that's what we're told not to do. The kippah doesn't cut it because it doesn't come down. Picture a woman's scarf, okay? She ties it around her head. It comes down the side of her head and stuff like that, okay? And that's what the hoodie does. Now, a hoodie is doing that. And putting the talis or the talit over your head is doing it also, okay? But they don't do it, if you're just putting a hat on, it's not cutting it. So what if you were riding a motorcycle and you put the helmet on and you were praying? Yeah, that would do it because it comes down over the sides. So are you not to pray when driving a motorcycle? Well, I suppose. I don't. I never came up with that. I just brought that up today. I think if you were going to stick, literally to it, no. But if you were on the motorcycle and something was not working right, you probably would pray or ask for help. I don't know. So if you have your head covered, it says you dishonoreth. So you humiliate yourself, I guess. Or you shame yourself. And then it says head. Okay, so now we're in verse 5. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as she were shaven. So it would be like she shaved her head. Okay, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. In other words, if the head's not covered, let her also be shorn. Now let's break the words down. It says, let her also. Let's check the Hebrew. Let's check the Greek here. see what Strong says. Yeah, but even shorn, which would be, I guess, shorn is getting a haircut. Cut off the hair, baldy or a Marine recruit haircut or something like that. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. See, the woman is not supposed to cut her hair off. Let's keep going. It opens it up. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. Okay? For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. God took the rib out of Adam and made the woman. Got it? Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. The Lord said, I'm going to give you a helpmate. Now, I know this, like half of the people that carry Bibles and go to church don't believe this. They believe the woman is equal to the man, or the Satanists believe the woman is over the man. Not that we care what they believe, because they're in a delusion. But for this cause ought the woman to have power on her head. Let's check the word for power. Let's keep reading and get to that. The woman to have power on her head. I think it's like a submission kind of power or something, because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman of the man, even so is the man also by the woman. The man gets birthed out of a woman. But all things of God. Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Doth not even nature itself teach you that let me see where we're at here. Judging yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? They would I think they called it toll the hair. When their hair they put it in their hand, and if it came out more than the length of the width of the hand, when they'd go like that, and they would cut it off. They'd keep the hair to the length of that hand, no further than that. You could probably go shorter, but they didn't go any further. But so, okay. Now, Yeshua might have been keeping a Nazareth vow because he was from Nazareth or Nazareth, and he let his hair grow. That could be the explanation for people talking about his long hair, okay? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. So if her hair is given to her for a covering, what does she need another covering for? You got it? But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. Well, the word for churches means assembly, ecclesia, they're called out from among the assembly, like a congregation type thing. It has no connotation of a building or a denomination. That's phony stuff they brought into it. So if the man had long hair, then he would have the covering and he would be praying with the covering, which he's not supposed to do. Now, in this that I declare unto you, praise you not that you come together not for the better, but for the worse. So he's saying you come together not for the better, but for the worse. So when they say to you, neglect not the coming together of yourselves, as is the tradition of some, you say this to them, 1 Corinthians 11:17. Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not that you come together, not for the better, but for the worse. So it's worse to go to a screwed up church, and they all are, because they're denominations and messed up. Okay, first of all, when you come together in the church, I hear that there be a division among you, and partly believe it. A division is a denomination. A division is different doctrinal statements, pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, that kind of stuff, right? Are they guilty of this? Absolutely. They're all about divisions. The Messianic congregations are the same. They have Messianic congregation umbrella organizations like Union of Messianic Congregations with doctrinal statements that are all different. It's just another denomination. For there must be also heresies among you. Heresies is cults, cliques, people that group together because they have a certain belief or something. But a heresy is not founded on truth. It's not founded on the Bible. Among you, that they which are approved might be made manifest among you. See? The approved are not in these denominations. Can you dig it? That's the scripture right here. 1 Corinthians 11:19. When you come to try telling that to them and they'll reject it, when you come together thereof into one place, this is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating, everyone taketh before the other, the messing which up. For in eating, everyone taketh before his own supper, and one is hungry and another is drunken. So they were getting together to scarf down the food, not for the other reasons, like taking the Lord's Supper or something. What have you not? What, you don't have houses? That's what he's saying, to eat and to drink. Or despise you the church? So he's saying, despise you the church. Are you making fun of the church of God, or mocking it, or hating it? And shame them that have not, the poor. What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not. Yeah, there you go. For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Yeshua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat. This is thy body, which is broken, my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup where he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do you as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. That would be wine. For as often as you eat this bread, communion, I believe he's speaking of, and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. Beulah just came in to say hello. You want to come up, Beulah? Come up. Come on. Come up. Up. Come. Come on. You're not coming up. All right. She's not going to come say hello. Okay. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. So when they hold communion in these divisive denominations that teach heresies and have different doctrinal statements and all of that, it makes it worse on you. Better not to go there. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily. So if you're in sin in one of these sicko places, these sick churches, which all are, or the Messianic congregations with their wacko doctrines and stuff, and you're in another gospel, they have another Jesus, and they receive another spirit, and you're there doing communion, I would say there's a problem. You're not worthy because you're doing incorrect fellowship. Eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. That's really important. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord. He chastens those he loves, that we should not be condemned with the world. How about that? Wherefore, my brethren, when you come together to eat, wait one for another. Don't scoff it up because you got there first, And if any man hunger, let him eat at his home first, that you come not together unto condemnation. and the rest will I set in order when I come. See, without apostles, you can't have churches because they set it in order. They plant it, they groom it, nurture it, set it in order. There's only 12 apostles. Apostle John's around now, but he's not working openly. He hasn't been unveiled this time. So what do they got going for themselves? By definition, they got nothing. He said some in the church: apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, and evangelists. Hi, what apostles could they possibly have? So that's what I got. My name's Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife. Pray for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing. Pray for our animals and pets to be happy, healthy, and whole. They're all rescues, even Beulah. Beulah, come up. Say hello. Come on. She doesn't want to say hello. She's shy. And keep praying Beulah doesn't escape, please. And pray. We got plenty of property for her to run around in. It's quite a bit. And it's fenced. And pray for better broadcasts. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And many thanks to the moderators. They really make it possible. And I'm out. Thank you.